Hi, first of all, thank you very much for sticking around for one of the last presentations of the week. We greatly appreciate it. My name is Jeff Rosenblum. I'm the founding partner of Questus. We're a digital agency, and we've got one core philosophy that really fits well for content marketing, which is what we call empowerment over interruptions. And I've invited two of my favorite clients to join me today. And the reason is they're doing some really disruptive and transformative work in the world of content marketing. And by way of quick introduction, you might not know Driscoll's as a household name or a name that sits at the tip of your tongue. But the truth of the matter is it is a massive, massive company. They have multi-billion dollars in sales. They literally grow trillions of berries every year. And in America, 2 out of 3 households have Driscoll's berries in their home. So basically what that means is every time you go into a supermarket, you go to buy strawberries and blackberries and raspberries, chances are it's a Driscoll's berry. But the food industry is going through massive disruption. It creates some risks. It creates some great opportunities. And Fran's going to be heading up all the marketing opportunities to grow that Driscoll brand. And Aaron, I mean, can we just give him a round of applause? Because Aaron works over at Marriott, which owns the Ritz. And as you guys know, this is an amazing hotel. It's been an amazing conference. So 19 different brands, 4,700 properties, and in their loyalty marketing program alone, there's 50 million people. So 2 huge companies, but really fundamentally different, a young and smaller marketing organization and a much larger and more established marketing organization. So we've got this unique opportunity, right? We're at the end of the conference. We're going to work hard to not say the things that have already been said before. So to me, what's been most exciting is this notion that the industry is really embracing content marketing. It feels like for the past few years, we've been talking about it, we've been getting excited about it, but now everybody's really doing it. But let's turn that question upside down, which is, what's most concerning to you? What has not been discussed today, or what's been overly discussed over the past few days?
Sure. You know, it's been interesting for me to kind of see the cross categories, and so I'm really entrenched in the food world and the food movement, and you know how do fresh, natural products transform the lives of everyone. So it's been interesting for me to hear the other categories talk about how they're approaching content marketing, and I think what for me is a little bit, oh my gosh, is the way that people are viewing this as a new way of advertising. And the questions that I hear people saying are, what kind of content should we be creating versus the real question we feel we're asking in the food movement is, why are you creating content? And really having that North Star and talking about it through the consumer lens and what the meaning is and what is your brand about. So this combination of transformation without disruption, I think for Driscoll's is, you can't really forget what classic marketing is about and really understanding your consumers and what brand equity is about. But at the same time, taking those classic tools that you're all used to using, but really bringing it front and forward, I think, in a really disruptive, meaningful way. At Driscoll's, we're like this, in the last 5 years, I think the food movement, and I know there's a couple of folks here from the grocery store, it's been changing silently in the sense that the shopper is what we're calling a peripheral shopper now. So all these brands that are in the center of store, like General Mills, the cereal people, are all grasping how to reinvent their businesses. And everybody that's doing all this fresh stuff on the outer side of the grocery store, all of a sudden we're like booming. And for berries, it's been great because not only do we have the nutrition, but we also have the flavor. So we always say we're not bananas, and we're not broccoli, and we're not carrots. So we really have this great story, I think, on the berry side to really tell an authentic story. And that's the essence of it for us is we want to make sure that the people that are creating content, that you guys are really digging in deep, understanding the consumer needs, and you're not thinking about it of how am I going to distribute the content. I mean, that's a behind the scenes in terms of being a responsible business person. But at the end of the day, you're really caring about what is your story and what is your North Star and how that really is, for me, the disruptive content. Like, you get that right. And I'm going to give a plug. I told Jeff that I was going to do this. If you haven't done one thing, I would say out of this conference, go watch the documentary that Questus created, and it's called The Naked Brand. And for me, that's the future of where content marketing is about, and that's concept of transparency. So.
Thank you for the plug. I appreciate it. I want to return to a couple points, the North Star and the authenticity, but over to you for a second, Aaron. What do you think has been missing? What's most concerning about the past few days?
Well, I think a couple things. Just to go back to what Fran said, when we started embracing content marketing, the first thing we did as an organization is rallied around the concept of putting the customer at the center of everything we do. We're a service company. We're known for hosting, and we need to make sure that we're really focused on the customer. As marketers, we have a lot of great ideas ourselves, but we want to make sure that what we're doing is very much customer focused. So when we look at content, especially from a loyalty program standpoint, utility is really important to us. Our goal is not to be the world's best hotel company. It's to be the world's favorite travel company. So when we're creating content, outside of the very tactical where it needs to be, we're not focusing on our hotel rooms. Oh, well, here's the bed, here's the dresser, here's the drawers. We're focusing on, helping to activate that aspirational travel experience. When you travel, you don't necessarily think about, oh, I'm really excited about sleeping in this hotel bed. You think about, I'm excited about exploring the local area. I'm excited about discovery. So we're doing a lot of work to create content and put content forward that has that utility, that allows people to make their trips more exciting, to discover more, and to use that discovery as kind of an identity and share that with their friends as well, which really starts to drive content as community. In addition to that, one thing I haven't heard during the session was user-generated content. We have a big focus on user-generated content at Marriott. Like, how many of you are Marriott Rewards members here? A lot. So, dirty laundry, loyalty programs, Marriott Rewards, it's really complex. You have points, you have status, you have redemptions, you have promotions, and as we try to attract more and more millennials, more and more next generation travelers, especially those that don't have the trip share to earn hundreds of thousands of points to come stay at a property like this once a week or once a year for a week, I shouldn't be the one telling you how to earn, how to redeem. The way to engage folks and educate them authentically is to let our other members, the members that are part of our Marriott Rewards Insiders community who have gotten the most out of the program, let them explain it in a very clear, very authentic voice. What we need to do is be able to tag that content and then syndicate it throughout our channels.
It's interesting, we did the challenge board exercise when we first started, and I wrote on mine that there doesn't seem to be enough strategy, and we're diving right into propagating the stories.
Yeah.
And as I put it up, there's a bunch of those, right? So you talked about putting the consumer at the center of everything that you do. Expand upon that. How do you do that? How do you develop great insights and great strategy?
Well, I think it's a team effort. We do a lot of data analytics. We do a lot of insights gathering, but it's also just about listening to our customers. We worked with you guys on a great exercise where we threw questions out to customers on Facebook and let them answer like that. Facebook can be a great market research tool in real time. And we discovered things like, your core group of friends in your core social network may be on Instagram now, but your broader network's on Facebook, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your former classmates. So when you're going on a trip, you're throwing that question out there. Hey, where should I go to really experience San Francisco like a local? Or where should I eat when I'm in DC that's really authentic so I'm not going to the Olive Garden? People use Facebook for that. So we really look at using those social channels as, through real-time monitoring as very quick feedback loops.
I was going to say, it is interesting looking at the challenge board, and I think for those that work with large, complicated, organizations, and they have hundreds of people, and where are you embedded and what the structure looks like. And I have worked at those organizations, and I would say, going back to the North Star and what is your brand positioning, for Driscoll's, we've actually spent the last 2 years, I would say, doing a global need state mapping, and this kind of goes back a little bit in terms of using some of the classic marketing tools that you have and make sure you're grounded in that, and then figuring out how to use a disruption. And I think the biggest silos for us is growing on a global level. And so we would have our Australian counterparts and our European counterparts, and we're just starting to kind of export to China. And we were all determined that our consumer, ours is different, yours, And so when we did this need state mapping and drove through the consumer insights, we walked away with so much commonality versus diversification and the concept of growing a global brand. And so what that really brought together is one of the big questions or the debate for us was, why do people buy berries? And our European counterparts were like, they're buying, blueberries are off the chart because it's all about health and we need to be focusing on images that have, running and stuff. And I think the research grounded us in like, berries are like the happiest produce around. And people are grounded with stories. When you talk about berries, you talk about, you remember childhood memories. And it's really about family time. And so there was a really crystal clear global alignment. Like if we're going to do content marketing, we have to start centering around and making those ordinary moments more special. And it's not necessarily about the health benefits, but unlike, again, going back to the broccoli or the carrots where they have to kind of sell their product based on the health benefits, we really can own that space of happiness. And so that alignment of the consumer research of that's our North Star really allows us to like, okay, I'm going to trust my European counterparts if they're going to go do some content marketing. We're aligned because we know what that center point is, and we're adding value versus, I guess, competing and going, like, what are you doing over there? The brand is about this. So the silos for me help when you start with that foundational grounding, that insight, and then drive it in a way. People get excited when they have that clarity, I think.
So I want to make sure I'm super clear on this. You guys spent 2 years, or are spending approximately 2 years on developing this brand platform.
Oh my gosh, it's been, and I have worked on major brands in my career. So I've worked, at Disney and at Leapfrog. And I think one of the great things about Driscoll's, it was a mind shift because it's family owned and operated. It's a private business. It's all about family. So you're walking in and I'm like, oh, I'm a super marketer. I know how to, mom's the shopper, organic mom, this is what we're going to do. And the value, I think, of Driscoll's is they are long-term willingness to understand how to become a beloved brand and the amount of research and the dedication that they've done to really grasp that insight. And they're really not necessarily, interested in terms of the sales. I mean, we've become this incredible brand that berries have taken it off and we fueled the produce category, but that was never the intent. I mean, they really are growers and they're passionate about it. So I was like, okay, I'm at a company that's never done marketing before and they're willing to spend 2 years on consumer insight. And it's actually been really nice and authentic.
And I think that's my biggest concern with all these incredible technologies. We can do these amazing things. We can do it overnight. You can get the data and the analytics overnight. So it's like, let's rush into it. But when you look at the biggest and best case studies, the ones that we've all heard for so many years, whether it's Dove, Chipotle, Red Bull, they all spent years developing their platforms before they went into the major execution. So you're spending a couple years, and I think that's a huge insight. How about you? You're working on a pretty big initiative right now. From start to finish, from your research, your data, into your insights and your strategy, before you actually execute, how much time do you think you're going to invest?
Well, these are multi-year efforts. They certainly are. We've spent close to a year doing insights, doing research, but when it comes time to start executing, I think we're moving in a direction more of iterative execution, especially going back to what I was talking about earlier, with reaching more customers in social and digital channels, more real-time feedback loops. We're able to throw things out there very quickly and gather feedback and iterate and move forward. It really allows us to claim a space, it really allows us to innovate, and it really allows us to take a data-driven approach. So whatever we do next is informed not only by whatever the previous phase was, but what the customer reaction to that was as well. So we're doing a lot of testing with beacons and geo-targeted messaging and content delivery to create true orchestrated marketing moments across multiple channels. For example, when a customer redeems for a resort hotel stay, we want that to really, really feel special to them. So we start with that redemption confirmation page. Hey, congratulations, your redemption's booked. The follow-up email thanking them. You're only X number of days away. The next touch point where we're reaching out to them asking about booking amenities. And then finally, when they arrive on property, when they land on a plane, using GPS to say, hey, you're here, you've arrived in Half Moon or San Francisco. When you walk into the property, using beacons to trigger, hey, welcome. And what we've done is at each phase of launch, we've been able to, again, gather that feedback, learn, identify things like, hey, when you're doing geo-targeted messaging, customers aren't looking for offers so much as they're looking for that fanfare, that welcome, that recognition. And it's really helped us, streamline and roll things out faster, but do it in a more intelligent way.
You talk about the term utility.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define what utility means?
I think content that you can use, content that excites you, that resonates with you while still aligning to your brand's pillars. So that could be through pure entertainment. It could be through, for us, enabling experiences, discovery, activation on property, anything along those lines. It really comes back to, again, understanding your customer, identifying how you can use your brand pillars. Like, we're not a hotel company, we're a travel company. So how do we enable travel and travel discovery? And then putting it out there for your customers, as opposed to just throwing content out there and seeing what happens here.
And Fran, you used the term authenticity. We hear it a lot, but I'm not so sure that everybody understands exactly what that means. What does it mean to you?
As a marketer, I feel our role is to enable the stories that are already happening. We don't consider ourselves content creators. We consider ourselves there is a movement that's already happening, and we are there to help facilitate it. So despite the fact that I'm talking about deep investments in consumer research and global and alignment, that doesn't mean we're not like on the edge of like right now we're running a campaign called Picture Perfect Plate. Hashtag, it's the first only social media campaign that we're doing. And for us, we kept seeing this trend on social media in terms of all these pictures that people were posting and tagging. And we're like, oh my God, these people are getting really creative with the food shots. You probably see them in the restaurants. Everybody's taking photos of their food. But we also saw a lot of the ones that were being taken at home were about berries. And so we just enabled, I guess, a lane for taking that authenticity of what's happening and channel it in a way that they can give it back to us in a way that feels authentic versus like, we're doing a contest, create your own picture, it was already happening and we're enablers of it. So
We do the same thing, and that goes back to what I was talking about with user-generated content. And I think one of the keys is you can't hide from the negative feedback. We put hotel reviews that we curate ourselves up on our site. We don't only put the 5-star reviews up. When we pull through the discussions from our members and our community about the program and about our promotions, some of them are like, hey Marriott, you're trying to, you're raising your category thresholds. You're screwing me over here. And we don't hide from that. We respond to that. We discuss that with them. And the good and the bad all drives towards that goal of authenticity. We're not filtering the customer's conversations to put ourselves in the best light.
So the topic is transformation without disruption, and I think that's what both you guys are doing. And what that means is, how do we change our organizations to embrace these modern techniques without throwing out the tools and the culture that's already working? So what's one piece of advice you have for how you can help your brands transform without disrupt?
I would say, I think somebody had said it in one of the other sessions about the employees being the best. If they're not part of the journey, for me, it's like, you have a good idea when the people internally are part of that journey and they love it. And so when you tell a grower, hey, we're thinking of doing a Periscope and we're going to do something live in the field, and they're like, okay, we don't know what that is, but the fact that they can be live and talking to a consumer and they're getting that connection, and that I've grown the berries and I'm actually going to be hearing from the people that are eating it, you have to bring them along. Your internal, I always feel like you have two stakeholders, the people inside, and if you hit it right, they want to be part of the journey and part of the content creation, and then the consumers who also want to connect. So
listen to your customers. Don't push stuff at them. Don't talk at them. We've been doing that for so long. Listen to what they're talking about. Let them invite you into the conversation. Join the conversation where you can provide value. And that's going to let your content start forming community, and it's going to elevate your brand.
That's great. Thank you. I've been asked to keep us on schedule. I think we only have maybe a minute for questions. Are there any questions? Front row?
Going back to UGC, since we actually didn't talk about it a lot this week, surprisingly, when I guess a brand like for Aaron interacting with it, how do you guys approach it? I mean, obviously the conversations are happening. Do you take the approach where you have the customer care team just create one-on-one relationships? Do you use that content with campaigns, or just repurpose it with like retweeting or posting?
I think there's a lot that we can do. I think, first of all, we don't want to force the conversation. We have a community. It's one of the last branded communities in the hospitality industry left, but I think it's still thriving because we've really let it become a space for members. From a technology standpoint within the community, it's very important for us to have the means to tag content based on what they're talking about in the APIs from the community to our website and our other digital channels to pull those snippets of content through where it needs to be. So something like our earn and use and redeem pages, we can have our members talking about how to earn, how to use, how to redeem. At the same time too, leveraging the user-generated content that's happening on social. Letting Twitter feeds, opening them up on our site, creating hashtags like, rewarding, for example, where people can talk about Marriott Rewards and we let the world see it. So I think it's both.
Cool. I'm sure people have more questions. Fran and Aaron will be around. I need to keep us on schedule, so Fran and Aaron, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.